Hi, my name is Matt Fischer. I'm from the US and I've been working here at Beyond Gravity in Vienna for about 2.5 years now. Here at Beyond Gravity, I work as a systems engineer, and that means I'm responsible for all of the engineering aspects of our products that we build here. I work in the mechanisms department, and so we build various mechanisms for spacecrafts and satellites. We have various gimbaling mechanisms to point thrusters in various directions, and we've also built products for booms and deployable panels for satellites, and everything that has to do with moving or pointing something on a spacecraft. As a systems engineer, I'm responsible for all engineering aspects that go into the product, involving the mechanical analysis, the thermal analysis, the design, procurement. I like to say I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none. So it's my responsibility to work with all of these different departments, and I might have the overall big picture of what we need and what our customer is looking for. And it's my job to coordinate with these different engineering departments and have a little bit of understanding of everything and what needs to happen in order to build our product and deliver what our customer is ultimately looking for. I think the coolest aspect of my job is that I get to work hands-on with the hardware. We get to see the full life cycle of a product, from designing, and analyzing, ordering the parts, and building it. And as a systems engineer, I'm responsible for every aspect of it. And so I'm in the clean room helping assemble the product. I'm sitting by it during our test phase, making sure everything is going okay and the data is coming out as we expect. And I'm also there for all the problems as well. If there's something unexpected that happens, we have to try to think of some quick solutions and how we can solve those problems. And I think it's cool to be able to work directly with the hardware and know that eventually this thing will be flying in space. We always have a lot of schedule pressures in our job. We've got some limited resources in terms of testing facilities, for example. And we have one shaker facility that we use here in-house, and we've got a lot of different projects that are trying to use that facility. And so we've got a very limited time that we're allotted for these facilities, for example, and if something goes wrong, we have to try to quickly solve that problem, or else we lose our slot or we're delaying either our program or some other program. Another pressure I have of the job is just not being a very good German speaker. Fortunately, everybody is nice enough to speak English with me, but I do try to speak German as much as I can, and the colleagues are nice enough to humor me from time to time and let me speak German, but one limitation I find is not being a full German speaker and being able to converse with everybody at their native level. So most of my time is probably spent here in the office, sitting at a computer, but just depending on what we're doing at the time, sometimes I'll be going back and forth between the office and then just our testing facility and clean room is just across the street. So sometimes I'm bouncing back and forth on an hour-by-hour basis, just depending on what needs to be done. And sometimes I'll need to check with the different departments, or if some parts have arrived, I'll go downstairs to our procurement department, pick up those parts and either bring them to the clean room or wherever they need to be integrated into our hardware. Yeah, so for my education and training, I think it's very important to have an engineering background to understand the various aspects that go into our products and mechanisms. It's important to have a good understanding of mechanics and how different things function, such as actuators and gears and springs and things like that, to have that basic mechanical analysis. I think it's also important to understand the thermal aspects and the different analysis inputs that go into our systems, in terms of how is this going to function in a vacuum, or how is it going to function in the extreme cold temperatures or hot temperatures of space. It's important to get that full understanding of how all of these systems come together and will ultimately work in our products. I think it's also important to have a good set of communication skills. We're talking to various people in various departments, and I think understanding the various needs and restrictions in terms of how much time somebody needs for something or what exactly they're capable of doing. I think it's important to be able to communicate that and understand what's needed, what needs to be done, And I think that's important for the customer as well, because I'm also the communication point for our customer in terms of what requirements they have and what they're expecting out of our systems. And so it's my job to interface between their expectations and what we're able to deliver and try to meet those requirements as best as we can, and then work within our different departments and our resources to be able to see what we can do and to make that possible. I find space so interesting just because there's so much unknown out there, and I think it's just really cool to be able to send something up through the atmosphere and send it beyond our reach, something that we can't see and access every day. It's not called rocket science for no reason, and I like a good challenge, and I think it's really interesting to be able to launch something and say, yeah, that's my product flying above the Earth, or maybe to the moon or Jupiter or beyond. I've always been interested in things that can fly and can't get any higher than space, so why not work on those things?